All right, family. We're doing something a little different today. Uh, I am trying to multitask.
Hello,
Hold on.
Anthony?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Earlier I didn't turn the mic on, so forgive me. Blame it on my mind and not my heart.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. My computer have been crazy.
Oh
My
Lord.
audio is really loud.
Oh yeah.
See something? Amen. Amen. Hold on. Let me see something. Now it went down. Hold on. I don't know. My husband said he'll look at it later. I
Okay.
wanted him to look at it now.
I
I tell you,
know. I know
it
that's
really
right.
fell one time. I was like, oh man.
Technology do that. I call it technology in.
Yeah.
Technology
It
be
do what
technology in.
it does what it want to do.
For sure. I always laugh at work because they say technology makes our life easier, and I
Oh
said they
yeah.
must have never seen seven adults standing around a printer trying to figure out how to make it work.
Oh no. Yeah. So
Definitely.
you're gonna be doing a meditation thing today?
It's well, yes. Long story. I was about to get a little verbose, but short story, yes. A simple meditation. Well, it's not that simple, but something that you can kind of incorporate in your own opportunity in your own life. But it is a simple meditation because I do way more complex things. So this
Really? So
one,
so what is your title?
who my title,
Or you just do it just for?
it's my purpose. Yep. So
Oh,
social
okay.
media on online, and when I write books, my name is Anthony Howell, but the title I generally go by is Soul Swami, right? So
Uh-huh.
I generally try to what I really do to try to make it simple and make it make sense. I just really create a space for people to identify their emotions, experience their emotions, and release those emotions if necessary. So I generally tell everybody I do mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional healing. I help them healing. So I do things like that. I wrote a book about
Oh,
spaces of healing that you want to incorporate within yourself. And as a matter of fact, right now I am currently live. You are not on the screen. I wanted to make sure I respect everybody's privacy as far as working with you all. But on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, I do a show. And I'm actually currently live right now so that my viewers can also do the meditative exercise with us if they'd like to.
oh, okay.
All right.
Wait a
So,
minute. Is Loretta? Is that Loretta? Somebody came in and she comes in and she said it said iPhone, and usually I'll put the names up there so I made you the co-host. Can you see that?
yeah, I did see that I was now the co host.
Yeah, yeah. So
How?
are you? Yeah, I see your video is on, but mine is off. You only
Right.
want to see me, right?
Oh no, that's fine. You do whatever you're comfortable with. You know what I mean? So I allow people to be comfortable, however they whatever makes you feel good. But like I said, I do a show, so I'm always on camera. In my professional life, I do training and technical assistance for federal government programs.
Oh, okay.
So I'm always on the camera talking to people or doing something like that, standing in front of people, talking all the time. So
Oh, okay. All right, all right, okay. Okay. Hey, Harriet. Hey, hey, everybody. Hey.
hello, 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 hello. So excited to be
Hey,
with you all tonight.
thank you for participating, for agreeing to this.
No, thank you for inviting me. I am. I generally tell people that when you're going through processes like healing, evolving, all of those things are a communal event. So people do a lot of work. I know you all have done a lot of work to create a space that you all feel comfortable in. So I'm more thankful that you all invited me into your space to be able to be a part of your space. And hopefully, as we go forward, we can do a couple of more things, or you know what I mean? Sometimes you can come to my space, but I am thankful and I'm in a space of gratitude for you all feeling comfortable enough to allow me to join this space with you.
Well, we appreciate the energy you're bringing, indeed.
So far, we'll see. I hadn't played my flute yet, so you might change your mind after I get on my flute. my my flute is my new instrument, and I have no formal training in playing the flute, so I just wind up winging it. I
Is it
went.
meditation playing, or you actually is one of those metal instruments?
No, it's well, they
Oh
got
my!
different types of flutes. So this right here is a drone flute. I never knew it even existed until I went
Yeah.
to a spiritual healing event, and I have a ton of instruments because like what I was saying earlier, I create a space for people to be able to experience emotions. One of the emotions I allow people to do is reconnect with that childlike energy and play a little bit. And so I have different types of games and different types of instruments. So whenever someone feels comfortable or whatever their spirit tells them to do, I create that space so people can start trusting themselves again. So I have a ton of instruments: rain sticks, rain drums, a ukulele. As a matter of fact,
Oh my goodness!
I even have
Now,
a.
for our non-sighted community, it's a huge, like a big metal pipe, and two of them fused together, kind of at one end and pinched like you pinch a piece of dough bread or whatever. It's pinched,
Yep,
and
in
what
the
is it,
middle.
bound or something?
It's called
And
a drone flute.
a drone flute, and it has the little holes in it when you do the flute on both hands. Beautiful. You didn't hear it? Yes. Mama Rita kicked me out, so you make me co-host. Okay. All right. You want to do the host thing? Can you rename people? Let me put you as host. Oh. Yeah, as co-host I can. I don't know. Okay. Okay.
I love the name of the
No
group.
problem. All right. Let me know if you can't rename that co-host. You do okay. Chica? You gonna do Chica? Yeah. Is that Loretta also? I'm not sure. Okay, that's I'll do Chica. Yeah. I from okay, I'm sorry. Background
Oh
stuff.
God,
Background stuff. Oh,
I love
okay.
this. I'm so excited for real, for real. I am a part of we have a men's group meeting on Zoom on Mondays. So it's always exciting to join someone else's group to see how that goes for them. So I am loving this. I promise you, I am tickled pink, as they would say.
But how do you get the men to come to your group? Chica said, count him in the men's group on Mondays. That's
Okay,
Chica.
so I can work with Keisha and get that Zoom to you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's every Monday. It's literally the same link, and it's every Monday, and it's men from all over the country. Occasionally, we do try to get together and do some things. Like my first time camping was with the men's group, and but outside of that, anybody's welcome to it. And it's just a bunch of men that are trying to create a space for men to be able to have those conversations that we would like to have with each other and support each other through some of our own transitions and hopefully to add and get a better understanding as we try to navigate this life. One of the things we talk about is perspectives are the tools that we use to navigate this life. So more perspectives we have, more tools that we have. So everything doesn't require a screwdriver. So sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you need a wrench, sometimes you need some pliers. So those perspectives wind up being those tools, and we wind up using each other to help build their tools and support each other as creating that energy that we can always tap into to know that we're not alone. So that's one of the reasons why I love this. I love to see stuff like this. So everybody, whether it was your intentions, it's something that you necessarily created. So I love being a part of
That's
this.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Let me give us a pretty quick. He says, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lois, did you get the check that Joyce is not going to be on? Yeah, I did see that. Okay. So you want to take over the beginning and introduction, yeah. Or were they going to record? Yes, please. I have to look at this again. Okay. No problem. No problem. On investments, yeah. So, who guys thinking they're so excited about their ministry? Who is that? This is our guest. Oh, okay. Wonderful. I love that excitement.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm tapping into y'all energy. Y'all sound so exciting. So
Oh,
thanks for sharing.
we're doing it, Anthony, for 12 years now. We're going on 13 years.
Seriously?
Every Tuesday and every Thursday.
Oh man, man. That is amazing. You know the 13th year, the 13th letter is M, and generally 13 year. That's when you a master. Whether you're a master mechanic, a master barber, a master locksmith, it's 13 years. So that number is very powerful. Very powerful.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah. Thank you. Hey Lois, did you dial in? No, I'm on my laptop. You on your laptop? It wouldn't let me make her co-host. Really? Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. I think the host. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think it's as the host. So I think I tried that before and it didn't do that. Okay. So I just made her host. Do you want the key back? Chica left, so you know what that means. Yeah, I had to let, but it did let me. It is let me name people, so that's good for me. You sure? Okay, I don't know. My internet it can be unstable.
I know that's right. Okay.
Okay, but go ahead and I got my cell phone right here, like I did the other day, because I don't know what's wrong with my audio. It's crazy. Okay. It's gonna look at it later. All right, so I'll make you. Hope you gotta make me co-host again. Oh, okay. Oh no, I'm still host because I signed in. Okay, so it made me co-host as well. Okay, we're good.
All right.
Loretta. I think that's Loretta, iPhone user. She comes over. Yeah, I think that's her, but she didn't answer when I asked. She's still learning how to unmute, I believe so.
All right.
Okay. It's like Keisha. Call us Keisha. It's Keisha. Hey guys. Hi. Hey lady. Oh, Raheem and I tried to make it to the therapeutic center in DC. The one that. How did it go? They having a summer camp, so they don't want to do any tours. So I thought that Monday, we can come and do and look around because the summer camp. So we're gonna do that. And Anthony, that came to your bowling event as well. He wants to go with us to tour as well. Okay. So, cool beans. Yeah. So we got yes, so we report back next. Yeah. Once school starts, I'm gonna try to sneak out there just to look around. Okay, well we can go with you.
You have to tell Anthony. I think he has such a great name. Don't tell him I'm biased though. But ironically, they say your name is the name of your temple. It's your direct connection to God, the universe, however you sit. And so names have meanings, and sometimes they, whether it's intentional by our parents or not, it winds up reflecting the type of life that we live. So I looked up Anthony, and Anthony means priceless, right? So I looked at my own life, and then there was a certain level of me being priceless because I'm the only male grandson, and I'm my father's only son. So I'm the last, technically, if you believe in tradition, I'm definitely the last person that can pass on the Howell last name. So it is a little bit of priceless. I was my mother's final when I took Yoruba, which is an African language. In college, I went to a HBCU.
Nigerian.
Right, and they told me they gave me the name Tommy, and Tommy meant final. It meant
Oh my
final.
goodness, what a synchronicity there.
It
Okay.
I listen. That's exactly.
What did he say, Tony man?
They named me
Priceless.
Tommy. Tommy means the final, which is the same thing as priceless because I was the last grandson and all of those things, or the only grandson all my cousins had.
Yes, that's
Good.
what your name means. It's
Yep.
7 o'clock, guys. You want to get started? Yeah. Okay. I'm here. It's Loretta. Oh, okay. That is Loretta. That was Loretta. iPhone. Okay. That's me. Okay. All right. You want me to start the recording? Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, please. Okay. I'm gonna mute out, Lois. Good evening, everyone. Hold on. So, Mr. Anthony, is it okay to record? I'm sorry.
Yes, it is. I told you I'm on live right now. Just you guys aren't on my live setting. I'm talking to you on my phone, but I record all the time.
Okay, cool. All right, and Chica, we will have to mute. We just mute in the back. Altogether, Chica. Okay, so here we go. Hold on.
Right.
and the three of us, we're losing it as adults, older adults. And
Right.
we didn't know where to go. We didn't know what to do. We wanted conversations. We wanted to know what was out there. We wanted to know what was going on, even in our own lives, somewhere to connect. We had NFB, we had ACB, we had the different Columbia Lighthouse, different organizations, but just to talk, just to
Right.
understand, because we had many questions, the three of us. So, with that being said, we opened the phone lines. It was a free conference call in the beginning, in March of 2014. And when we started, we only did topics in the beginning. We only had topics on uh, what depression, anxiety, the white cane, travel training, metro access, which is our paratransit system,
Right.
anything that it was peer to peer. We are a peer to peer group. I should say that first. And
Excellent.
we got our topics by listening to the conversation. One week we would talk about maybe um, the white cane, and we would listen to the issues that came up with the white cane. And it'd be like confidence. It'd be like, don't touch my cane. It'd be like
Yeah.
feeling the shame of my cane. So that's how the topics grew, just listening to one conversation after another. In the beginning, we would have a friends and family night where we got together in a church in D.C. and we would invite our friends and family. And this was just to include them in our lives because it is just as devastating to our friends and family who
It
have
is.
watched us for years with vision. When we lose our vision, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to approach us. They don't know how to support us. So it was good just to communicate, just to have those conversations. And like I said, we sat around in a circle, we served refreshments and just talk. We talk about shopping with our people. We talk about life skills. We talk about why we're feeling on the counters. We don't have that. We use our fingers, our
Right.
hands for, to see what's around us. And so that was quite successful. I pray that we get back to that, as time goes on. We have on Thursdays, like tonight, we have health and wellness. And this segment is not specifically geared toward blind persons, but it's just geared for health and wellness in general. We talk
Fantastic.
about different eye diseases, we talk about cancer, we talk about anything and everything that's out there, diabetes, health related issues.
Okay.
We have a website that we are very proud of. We've done a lot of work with the website, and you can find us on i3sfoundation.org, and it's accessible. Yeah, they have a lot of things that in the community. They have things that we developed ourselves. We have our hints and tips that I'm so proud that the peer-to-peer developed, and we put that on the website.
Okay,
So
that's awesome.
with that being said, I would like to introduce the guest or have a guest introduce himself and take it from here. And thank you so much for doing this for us. We appreciate you.
So, side note before we get started, when you said the website and it ended .org, my professional life just kind of kicked in. So generally in my professional life, nonprofits have been my life. So if you ever get to a point where you want to make this some sort of organization where it's a nonprofit and you can try to apply for grant funding and things of that nature, just have Keisha reach out to me, and I would not mind at all supporting you in developing that if that's what you like to do. I do think one of the things I offer my services to things that I believe in, and I know that the need is there. So I know if you experienced that, you're not alone, and you found a collective of people to be able to go through this experience with. But there are people out there who do not even know you exist, and they would love to be a part of that. So if you ever get to a space where you would like to grow this into something, an organization where you can get grants and things of that nature, just reach out to me, and that's something I do in my day life. That's what I do, and I would love, love, love to be able to support you and help you through that process.
I'm putting you on speed down right now.
I know that's right. Okay, so outside of that, I am Anthony Howell, and generally on social media, I go by the name of Soul Swami because I'm doing magical, not magical things, but I'm like to do things to nourish the soul. So it's perfect to have me to be a part of when you're doing your health and wellness conversation. Generally, what I do, as I was stating earlier, is I just try to create a space for people to be able to experience emotions, give themselves permission to experience the emotions, and be able to even release emotions if that's what they need to do. So I generally say I work with the spirit, the emotional, the physical, and the mental bodies. We generally function on the four bodies, and those are the four bodies that we wind up functioning under. And I try to help people navigate those four bodies in a way that feels authentic to them. And so, like the brief description said, in a way that feels authentic to them and help them find a path and use and trust themselves again. So tonight I have a simple meditation. It's not quite simple. Okay, so it is as simple as far as the path, but it will require you to be in a space where you can be comfortable with yourself and be authentic with yourself and be true with yourself. Some self awareness to take place because we will dive a little bit into emotions. But when we get to the conversation section, you can discuss as much as you feel comfortable with, right? So I do definitely respect everyone's privacy. So again, whatever you feel comfortable with, we will be doing this. Oh, I also have to say I am currently on live. I do a live show every Tuesday and Thursday. So you all are not on my live show, but they do hear me talking to you. Outside of that is so that the people who watch my show, if they would like to participate in this meditative exercise, they can as well. So I want to make that statement. So we'll start with a little bit of meditation, and then we'll slide into this meditative activity that's called the chair. So, what the chair is going to do is allow you a space to be able to identify some emotions and give yourself permission to navigate these emotions. And one of the more important things that it will do is separate this idea of accountability and responsibility, right? So when it comes to our feelings and emotions, one of the things that we struggle with is because when we feel these emotions, we feel a sort of responsibility for them. Now, responsibility requires a response. But many times, the emotions that we feel, there is no response for them. There's not much we can do but experience them. So, this activity will allow you to align yourself more with accountability. And with accountability, all you really have to do is just be in a space to be able to label the emotions, right? So that's all it does. It doesn't require you to have to fix them. It doesn't require you to have to change them. It just requires you to be able to label the emotions, which is good because many times there are a lot of emotions that we have not experienced in a long time because we haven't given ourselves those permission to be able to experience those emotions. So then after we do the chair, we'll think of a relationship word based on the activity, and then we'll have a few discussions around that, right? So everybody okay with that? All right, fantastic. So, the next thing that I generally do, as I was playing a little bit earlier, is try to establish an energy, a collective energy based on sound. So I do a little bit of sound therapy, which is a therapy. I do light therapy. I've done child therapy. I've done pet therapy, art therapy. There are many different therapeutic forms, and I try to incorporate as many of them so that when you want to do it on your own, you can pick the one that resonates with yourself as much. They even talk about aromatherapy. I talk about smells and scents, but tonight we'll do a little bit of sound therapy. We'll do some breath work, and then we'll get into the mindfulness activities, right? So tonight I have a drone flute, and my drone flute is set to the frequency of 432 hertz. So 432 hertz, it generally is a frequency. Some say that it is the natural frequency of the earth, right? But outside of that, there is research to show that listening to sounds on the frequency of 432 hertz has a calming effect on the spirit. It can slow down heart rate. It calms a bunch of different things. So I bought this flute recently. I am not a flute player, so give me some grace. I'm practicing with you all. I'm learning to be a little bit better. I'm not terrible, but I'm no expert. So if you hear a little squeak, just understand that I'm learning to do. I like to be a model for some of the activities and things that I suggest people to do. And one of the things that I loved as a kid was instrument. So this instrument allows me to reconnect with that child in me. And also I do a lot of breath work, right? Being mindful of your breath, because depending on the situation, our breathing rate changes, right? So I know in frustrations, I have a tendency to become a shallow breather. And you know that oxygen getting to your brain is what allows you to keep thinking and functioning at full on all cylinders. So this instrument itself allows me to be focused on my breathing and remain conscious and present in what I'm experiencing right now. So I'll play it a little bit, and then we'll do a breath exercise that you can take into your own life and incorporate into your daily routine, weekly routine, or monthly routines, however you need.
The sound isn't coming through.
It isn't.
Mm-mm.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Maybe I need to move my
Oh, no.
microphone.
I thought that was the megahertz.
Okay, thank you.
It's breaking up. It's breaking up. We heard a little and then it stopped.
Okay. So one of the things that I learned is listen to the energy. If if I'm struggling for you all to hear that sounds, that means I'm going to switch the instruments. I also have another instrument that is a rain drum. Let me know if you can hear it. So generally they call it a rain drum because you can just put it out, and as the rain hit it, it makes different sounds. Can you hear that?
No. Nothing, Anthony.
Okay, well, we'll move beyond the instruments and we'll get into the breath work, because the instruments are just to set to establish the what's his name, but the energy. But since that's not coming across clearly, we'll move on. So the next thing that we would do is a breath. Hold on, let me get my thing. Is a breath exercise that is called box breathing. So box breathing is 4 4 4. Each number tells you how long to breathe in, how long to hold your breath, and then how long to exhale. But during this time, all you really have to do is just listen to the sound of my voice. I will guide you through the breathing, and you be mindful of the thoughts that come into your mind. Be mindful of your breathing, and understand that you do have the ability to control that and transmute some of the energies that may be coming to your mind. So on the count of three, we'll start with box breathing. 4 4 4. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Release 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4, release 4. 2, 3, 4. Last time, family. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Release 4, 2, 3, 4. The next thing that we do is the mindfulness exercise. In this mindfulness exercise, it will allow you to be able to practice giving yourself a little bit of grace, because at times that we can be our hardest critic. And when we're trying to have a healthy relationship, the best relationship or the healthiest relationship that we need to have starts with self. So during this exercise, um, I just need you to think of a time that brought you great joy. Now, as you think of that time, I want you to visualize that time as though you are still experiencing it. Think about the sounds that you heard. Think about the smells that you smelled. If the wind was blowing, think about how the wind felt against your skin as it graced you. Think about the things that you taste. Elevate all of your senses to take you back to that experience and think deeply about how great that experience makes you feel. Really hone in on those feelings, the thoughts, and why this experience was one that made you feel good. And take a little moment just sitting in there and enjoying the memory of that experience before we move on. Now, as you sit in that experience, I want you to shift and visualize someone that you love deeply, someone that's very important to you, someone that you value. They make a difference in your life, and you hope to make that same difference in their life. You visualize them as though they are standing there with you, because we're going to have a gentle conversation with them. Now, as you're thinking about that person and you're thinking about how much you love them and how much you value them and how much you want them to know, I want you to take some time and tell them exactly how you feel. Now, as you're telling them how you feel, just use one word statements to reflect how you feel. Whether that feeling is joy, whether that feeling is contentment, whether that feeling is happiness, whether that feeling is sadness or disappointment, you definitely want to talk about the feelings in one word descriptions to reflect how you feel about that person. Why do you love them? Why do you value them? Why are they important in your life? Take a second and explain to them what they mean. Now, after you've pictured them, I want you to take some time and visualize yourself standing right in front of you. Now, this can be a self at any age. If you need to talk to your younger self, if you need to talk to your older self, whether it be your teenage self or your child self or your young adult self or your parent self, I want you to visualize you standing across from you. And all of those things you just told a person that you love, I want you to repeat those things to you. Tell yourself why you love you. That's all right. because you don't need sight to love yourself. So
And how you
visualize.
gonna visualize?
You can make that visualization look like anything you want. As a matter of fact, you can visualize yourself as the perfect version of yourself if you want to. Think about yourself on how you were intended to be. The point is to make sure that that love that you give to other people, that love, that value that you share with other people, you are turning that self in turning that same love and value towards you so that you can internalize how valuable you are, how much you love yourself, and begin or continue to recognize your worthiness as you navigate life. So think about those words. Keep some of those words that you're telling yourself in your mind to the forefront as we move into this next exercise that is called the chair. So the chair will allow you, it's an activity that we can do to help you practice accepting different type of emotions that we experience. Every word creates an emotion. One thing that we talk about on my show a lot is the difference between emotions and feelings. Emotions are natural. All and every single emotion is natural. Feelings wind up being the stories that we tell ourselves about those emotions. So we can always change how we feel about an emotion by changing how we feel, period. By changing the stories that we tell ourselves about those emotions. So now, in the next step for the chair, as you thought about the emotions and feelings that you told yourself and your loved one, I want you to, for the next few minutes, just sit with those emotions. You don't have to improve yourself. You don't have to solve anything. You don't have to feel better or feel different. Your only job is to sit in those emotions and notice what emotions are there. This allows you to begin to label the various emotions, give them names. The feelings that we feel, give them names. The things that we experience, give them names. And begin to create a space that allows us to be accountable for them and not necessarily responsible. Again, responsibility requires a response, but some of the emotions we deal with, there is no response. So, this is an activity to allow you to practice accountability, being able to label those emotions. Now, as you are sitting in those emotions, I want you to say this sentence to yourself and complete the sentence with the emotion that you are feeling. Right now, I am aware of, and then label the emotion. So say to yourself, right now, I am aware of, and label that emotion, whether it's anxiety, sadness, frustration, joy, contentment, stability, anger, uncertainty. There are various emotions that we can give ourselves permission to experience. But allow yourself to name that emotion with right now, I am aware of. The goal is not to change the emotion, but to acknowledge it. So that's all you have to do. Just acknowledge the emotions that you are feeling. Now, one thing that we want to do is separate ourselves and the worthiness that we experience, that we are, from those emotions. So in the next step, I want you to move from I am to I notice, so that we know that emotions are things that we experience, but they are not our identity. They do not define us. They are things that we experience, not the definition of who we are. So if you are identifying your emotion as I am anxious, or I am happy, or I am overwhelmed, change that statement to I notice. Again, it's about accountability, being able to label what we experience. I notice that anxiety is present. I notice that sadness is present. I notice that overwhelm is visiting me. I notice that I feel joy. I notice that I feel contentment. Again, that is separating ourselves from the emotions that we feel. They are not our identity, they are something that we experience. In the next step, with those emotions that you identify, I want you to offer the feeling a chair and invite them to sit across from you in that chair. Whatever that feeling is, whether it was anxiety, whether it was joy, whether it was sadness, whether it was overwhelmed, whether it was contentment, whatever it is, imagine that emotion sitting in a chair across from you. You can have as many chairs as you want. If you notice multiple emotions, which the activity can, you can give multiple chairs. As a matter of fact, I always talk about how the process of evolving or building self awareness or healing is a communal event. That's one of the reasons why I love what you all are doing here. It is a communal event. So you may need to talk to a community of emotions. If you identified several, then give several seats for them. Now, as you sit across from these emotions, I want you to begin to question these emotions and answer them for yourself. First question you want to ask: what if this feeling didn't need to leave right now? What if the feeling that you are feeling did not leave right now? Next, what if it is allowed to be here for a while? What if you give permission for the emotion to stay with you for a while? Next, can you make room for it without agreeing with it, fixing it, or becoming it? Can you make the space for it without feeling the need to have to change it? In this last step, I want you to take your hand and place it over your heart. Now, this is important because the heart is the most magnetic organ that we have. So, if you are trying to attract anything into your life, leading with your heart is the best way. So, giving yourself grace, or giving yourself compassion, or giving yourself more love, the heart is the way to go. The heart's magnetic field is 50 times larger than that of your brain and 5,000 times more powerful. So it is a bigger field and holds on. to what you need more, or even the things that you don't need. We store those in our heart. So, with your hand over your heart, I want you to repeat after me.
But don't you gotta use the brain too?
Yes, you do. So, knowing that the heart is the most magnetic, that does not excuse you using the other thing, because sometimes you have to use your feet. You have to make decisions with your feet. You can't be everywhere. Sometimes you have to leave situations that aren't conductive or conducive for you. But even with that being said, the most powerful tool that we have in our body is our heart. And this is scientific, right? You can do research on it and they will tell you the same thing. They've done a ton of research. The heart is the most powerful tool that we have within our body. And many of us do not give us grace for the heart decisions. You still have to use your brain, but your heart is a powerful tool. It can lead the way for you. So with your hand over your heart, I want you to say, repeat after me. This is what.
The heart leads the brain, and the brain don't lead the heart.
There you go. There you go. So with your hand over your heart, repeat after me and say, this is what I am feeling right now. Give yourself permission.
What I'm feeling right now.
Give yourself permission. Next, I do not have to fight this moment. Give yourself grace. I do not have to fight this moment. And lastly, I can be kind to myself while I move through it. I can be kind to myself as I move through it. The best relationship you will have, the most formative relationship you will have, the most powerful relationship you will have is the one that you have with yourself. So give yourself grace, give yourself permission, and give yourself kindness. And family, that is the meditative exercise. So after this, we'll have a little bit of debriefing. Anyone that feels comfortable enough with sharing the answers to these next questions, please do. And outside of that, this is an activity that you can do with yourself to help you be accountable for the things that you're feeling, to give yourself grace for the things that you are experiencing, and to remember to give yourself kindness and compassion as you move through these emotions. So, in that, one question that I have is, what of the feelings that you experienced, that you navigated through, was the hardest to allow? What feeling was the hardest to allow?
I would think, for me, the feeling of uncertainty. You know, going, the whole losing your vision process, especially at an older age, like, and you're so used to being able to see and being in control and being independent, and then to have it all taken away abruptly, you just kind of left out there. So that feeling of uncertainty was definitely is definitely an emotion that I know I am dealing with.
That's a big one. That is one I've had to, or not even had to, but I continue to reshape my relationship with that idea of uncertainty. Would anyone else like to share?
This is Valencia. Hello? Go
Yes,
ahead.
we can hear you. Yes, we
Oh,
can hear you.
okay. I, for me, it was feeling underappreciated by people that are close to me or that are my loved ones when it comes to, well, I would say if I feel like I've been there for them in certain ways, um, 9 times out of 10, and then to hear that that it's not, I guess, recognized, for lack of a better phrase.
Understandable. Feelings of underappreciation really does matter, especially if we find value in giving or if we see ourselves as empaths, if we identify as an empath, feeling that the things that we sacrifice, the actions that we do, them not being noticed, definitely can be a weighty emotion to experience. All right, so the next question I want to ask is, what feeling do you usually try to escape? What feeling do you not allow yourself to experience? What feeling do you usually try to escape?
This is Renata. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
yes, we
Okay.
can. Thank you.
Okay. So the feeling that I try to escape is um, sadness because, well, I recently lost my nephew. But what I do, I pray and I bring the emotion of joy back in my life because my nephew did go to church. He was saved. He sang in the choir. So I feel, happy that there's no worries. He don't have to worry about truck when he's born. And otherwise than that, I'm good. I feel joy.
All right. That is a tough emotion to deal with, right? Sadness, and that is an emotion that many of us try to escape. But one thing that I talk a lot about is this idea of the happiness paradox, because the happiness paradox idea can be spread to different emotions, right? So, what the happiness paradox is those people who chase after happiness are generally the least happy people because essentially what they are showing is they're not happy with where they are, right? So sadness winds up being one of those things too. But the good thing about it is no emotion are we meant to stay in. And we have the ability to transmute and change those emotions from a scientific perspective or even through the power of prayer with our spirituality and our relationship with God. So, prayer is a very good tool to transmute energy, but also make sure in trying to escape that, you allow yourself to experience that because emotions are energy. One thing that,
Audio muted.
hello?
Go ahead, we hear you.
Okay, so one thing that I know is energy cannot be created or destroyed. That is quantum physics. It is a quantum physics law. It can only be transferred. So when we have all these emotions, they are energy. They are energy of thought, energy of experience. So when we have an emotion, we know that we have the ability to change that emotion. But the thing about it is, it's a spectrum. So give yourself grace. You can't just go from sadness to happiness. So you can go from sadness to being a little more content, to being joyful, then to happiness. So allow yourself to navigate those steps as you process those feelings. But sadness is a major emotion that many of us escape because it is a heavy and weighty emotion. Would anyone else like to answer that question?
This is Valencia. baby, and my mom said the only time I would cry was when I needed a change of diaper or was hungry. So you know
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. I guess those are very two good times to cry, right? I generally crying is one of the I don't know what your relationship is like with God or religion or even the universe. But one of the more powerful things is by your tears, you will be healed. That's one of the reasons they say that about Jesus and his stripes. So, allowing your tears, water has a healing property, and your tears are the most healing tool that you have. So, allow yourself, give yourself permission, remind yourself that it's okay, and more than okay, it is a natural experience to cry. So with those tears, you will heal yourself. Outside of that, as I said, energy can be transferred. It can't be created or destroyed. So when we have things that we don't cry about, we don't release those feelings, those emotions, where they wind up showing up in different parts of our bodies as aches and pains or as dis-ease. That word is called disease when we say it together, but when you pause it, it is dis-ease. So allow yourself to cry, give yourself permission, help create spaces that allow you to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable enough to share those emotions. Thank you. Tears are powerful. That is one of those things I had to also work on my relationship with. And I just say that not to make it about myself, but to remind you that you are not alone as you evolve as well. Okay? So,
Hi, this is Yvonne. I came in late, but I would put motivation and anxiety.
why motivation and anxiety? Why do you try to escape those feelings?
Because the anxiety keeps me back from doing what I want to do, and the motivation helps me to not even think about the anxiety to move on. That this is not the end of life. That just because your eyesight is going, you can keep pushing to do more and do better, and not be fearful of what you're doing, because it's going to be all right,
Uh,
especially when you go through training.
for sure. That's one thing, if you don't know anything else about yourself, is that you are survival. And although suffering may come, what's the one I was trying to thinking? Um, Tears may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So you can always remind yourself that it is going to be okay. You are a survivor, right? But it is okay to experience those emotions because you have the power to change those emotions, to give yourself the freedom from the weight of those emotions. Thank you for sharing that.
Go ahead, Lois. Lois is next. You're making me think so much, of the emotions that we have. We mask them. I understand that tears, crying releases, um, uh, but we try so hard to mask them. At least I do. Cover them up. Uh, and I agree with you very much so that that is what creates the dis-ease in our bodies. How do we learn how to unmask? I understand we're going through this acceptance of them now, but it's easier said than done.
It is. So that's why I said the word simple, because simple does not mean easy. Because it's as simple as letting go. But letting go is not an easy process at all, right? And you definitely need some tools to help you let go. So that's what this whole thing is, to give you some of those tools. So breath work is one thing that'll help you let go. Giving yourself permission to feel these things is something that'll let help you let go, right? Understanding that you can move yourself beyond that is something that'll let you help you let go, and creating spaces that support in the vulnerability that allows you to let go. Because you know they said, out your mouth to God's ear, you have to speak it to release it. So give yourself permission and then understand as you start processing and allowing yourself to experience these emotions, you will be provided with other tools or perspectives to support you in your evolution. So start with permission. And the most important one that I do want to say is give yourself grace. You are human. And this is the human experience, right? So give yourself grace when sometimes it's a little difficult to let go, or when it's sometimes a little difficult to feel, or when it's sometimes a little difficult to forget and forgive, right? So give yourself that grace because it is a process. It does not happen overnight at all, which I'm sure you understand. But give yourself that permission to go through the process and trust that you will be provided for. The answers will be given to you as you walk your path. Next question I have is, what changed when you stopped trying to fight the emotion? As you sat there and you identified the emotion, what changed when you no longer try to fight against feeling that emotion?
This is Harriet.
All right.
What changed for me was uh, just the knowledge and knowing that it's present. So I kind of put it as it's kind of similar what you say, but I use the words there is an awareness of,
For
and
sure.
if it's an awareness of, for me it was maybe a longing for, I don't know if that's embedded into grief or fear or the trepidation, the uncertainty, um, but there's an awareness of, and it's not me personally, but there is an awareness of this fear or this trepidation or even just longing for, is it longing for knowledge, for safety, or for the freedom? So to, when you're asking to what changes that, or what was your question again? What happens?
Yep. What changed when you stopped trying to fighting? And you said awareness. So awareness is a good one.
So
Awareness is
I
it.
just become aware that it's present. Like you said, put it in that chair and you know it's over there. I don't have to do anything with it.
You are not responsible for it because it is natural. You just have to be accountable for it. And that accountability, being able to identify it, name it, and sit with it, will put you in position to be able to move past it instead of carry it alone. That is the cross that we have to bear. So many pieces or many rocks. It's like in my book, I said it's like putting rocks in the book bag. And every time you identify an emotion, you have some feelings, you can take that rock out that bag, and that bag gets a little bit lighter. That is our cross to bear. So that awareness will help you to be able to identify as well as give yourself that grace that I keep repeating. One more question. What would happen if you treated your feelings as visitors rather than enemies? What do you think would happen if you treat these feelings as visitors and not as enemies?
But it's Chris. I have some. I think if you identify them as visitors versus enemies, I think it'll allow you to identify why they're there, and then it'll also give you the opportunity to allow them to continue visiting or discontinue their visitation privileges. You know.
For sure. It puts you in a space to be able to create boundaries, which is one of the reasons why we don't allow ourselves to feel some of these emotions, is because we do not trust our boundaries, our emotional boundaries. So seeing them as visitors, know that visitors do not stay forever, and you have boundaries with visitors. But people can be immortal energies, enemies. They can be enemies forever. But seeing them as visitors allows you to create new boundaries for them, for sure.
Question, Harriet.
Yes.
What popped into to my thoughts were, well, when you have a visitor like into your home, you welcome them, you cater to them, you want to supply them with what they need. I don't think I want to do that to those visitors that are in that chair that I don't that I'm sitting with. I'm aware of. So I guess I'm seeing as the word visitors two ways to handle visitors: allowing the boundaries or to welcome them.
For sure. And you can welcome them, but with that, you also know that they're going home at some part. At some point in time, you have to send them on their way. So, welcoming them into your heart, which is your temple, welcome them into your heart and your life, you know that they have to go, right? The one thing about it is being able to see them as visitors and knowing that they're leaving is akin to giving yourself that freedom. And you know, like I know, the cost of freedom is a very high cost. And many people do not have the courage or the bravery to pay that cost. So when you start seeing them as visitors, you also build that courage and that bravery to pay the cost for freedom. And that cost for freedom is to send them on their way. Send them on their way. So that is for sure. There is several different ways that you have visitors, but ultimately they must go. They cannot stay forever. You do not want the visitors to stay forever.
Thank you
For sure.
for that clarification.
Yep. And
Linda. Thinking about the visitors, I suffer from anxiety, but nowhere the way I used to, and I treat anxiety like a visitor. I control it. Like you said, I set the boundaries. Just like if I'm going to have a visitor come to my home, I let them know up front how long they're going to stay. So
okay.
anxiety will creep in, but I control it. I know the things that I need to do to eliminate it. I can sometimes sense when it's coming on, so I do things to combat that. So I control the atmosphere. I don't let it control me anymore.
For sure. You know, as you said that, that really made me think about something that we've talked about a lot on my own in my other things, is about boundaries and limits, right? So one of the good things about seeing them as visitors is because it allows you to separate your boundaries from your limits. For many of us, many times, once you cross that boundary, you are already at our limit, right? But when you separate your boundaries from your limits, when somebody crosses that boundary, or when you cross that boundary with yourself, you got a lot of space in between there to give the space for healing, forgiveness, and grace, right? Because you're not at your limit anymore. So when we talk about boundaries, make sure that when you're thinking of boundaries, you are thinking of boundaries away from your limits so that you can have that space for forgiveness and grace, right? And the last question, you want someone else is getting ready to say something?
Yeah, Reverend Ray, good evening. A question, and all what you're saying, how important is self-care?
So simply put, and I don't want to sound kind of facetious when I say this, but it is the most important, right? Because without you there is nothing, right? You are literally everything in your life, right? So it's ironic when I think about when we start talking about things that we prioritize God, family, And very little do we actually talk about prioritizing ourselves. So when you start thinking about your prioritization, make sure that you move yourself up into one of those top three things. Because if you don't love yourself, it's going to make it hard for you to love other people. If you don't take care of yourself, it's going to be hard for you to see the value of taking care of other people or them seeing the value in you because you can't relate. They cannot see it reflected coming from you. So when it comes to that, self-care is the most important because if you do not care for yourself the way you're supposed to, then you cannot expect anyone else. We become models for how we want to be treated. And the easiest way to model how we want to be treated is not to tell people, but to live that treatment within ourselves. So self-care is one of the most important things that you can do because it shows the world, the universe, it shows God, it shows family, it shows job, it shows everyone that you care about you, right? And then, as a matter of fact, it winds up having this dynamic where it deflects. So people who see people that care about themselves are less likely to challenge that care because they know you have a self-awareness and a self-esteem that most people do not. It's harder to manipulate you because you are living that care for yourself. You are a living, breathing example. What I always say, you are the living word. That's what they mean. So you live that word. You become a living, breathing example of what love looks like by how you love yourself. So self-care ties into that. It is the main ingredient to help you identify or to show people how to treat you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
No problem. Last question that I have for you all is can you, well, one more question after this with anybody. Can you be both struggling and okay at the same time? Can two things exist at the same time for you? Yes, you can. You can be struggling and also know that it's going to be okay, right? So give yourself permission to be able, you can be breathing, grieving, and know that happiness is on its way, right? So give yourself that permission to be able to experience those things, right? Now, the last part of this activity that I have for you all is out of all those words that you thought about to describe the emotions that we're feeling or the things that we experience, I want you to pick word, one one of those words, and that word will become the first word that you will use to reshape your relationship with. For me, example, when I first started this, the first word that I had to reshape my relationship with was this idea of worthy. Many times I did not believe that I was worthy of congratulations because I was raised in a situation where you're supposed to do these things. So how do I congratulate myself for stuff that I'm supposed to do? So my word wound up being worthy. I've gone through family. I've gone through safety. Safety was a big word. And I also had to rebuild my relationship with a word like hope because at many times I had separated hope from faith. But now I understand that faith is the destination and hope is the path that we take to get there. So, as you've thought of all these different words, pick one word that you will begin to reshape your relationship with. And when I say reshape your relationship, I mean that when you feel the emotions of that word, you will begin to tell yourself new stories. Again, feelings are the stories we tell ourselves about emotions. So pick that one word, reshape your relationship with that word, and begin to tell yourself new stories when that emotion or that word or the emotion of that word shows up in your life. Would anyone like to share the word that they picked?
Harriet,
Yes.
flexibility. Flexibility
Flexibility.
of my thoughts.
Flexibility of thought. That is good. You have to stay agile in thinking. So flexibility in your thoughts is fantastic. Would anyone else like to share?
It's Keisha. Disappointment.
There you
Um,
go.
um, Realizing that good things can happen and everything doesn't have to end in a disappointment.
Disappointment is good. I have to say that that's one of the words I had to rebuild my relationship with too, because I would not allow myself to feel disappointed, and how that will wind up showing up is I just wind up my self talk, how I thought about myself, just wind up being hard. So as you also with disappointing and many of these other words, I want you when you think about them and when you feel the emotions from these words, I want you to think about where they also affect you in your body and start paying attention to how your body changes when these emotions show up. So, like I can say with disappointment, I knew with disappointment, I always felt it in my shoulders. So, I carried a lot of stress in my shoulders, but it was the stress of disappointment. So, pay attention to where you feel these emotions in your body as well. Would anyone else like to share?
Reverend Ray, for, forgiveness. I
For
think a lot of times that we just don't forgive ourselves for things that happen, and we keep on bringing it up to stop us from doing other things or apologizing to people or trying to prove to people, or and I think it's just hard for us to forgive ourselves and not work on that, a lot, and and it just sometimes stops me from doing going forward. So I say forgiveness.
That is powerful. Forgiveness is a big one. We struggle to give it with other people sometimes. I remember I had a conversation with someone and I asked them specifically, how's your relationship with forgiveness? And they responded with me so confidently. It was like, well, I don't really forgive like that. And then I asked them another simple question. So, what happens when it's time to forgive yourself? Right? So that is, and they thought about it, they don't forgive themselves. And many times that we are functioning in certain ways because we have not forgiven ourselves for the thoughts, decisions, mistakes, choices we've made, any of those things. So forgiveness is huge. And all of these words, I want to make sure you start with self. Forgiveness is huge. Huge, huge, huge.
But this is really, I can recognize.
Say the word again. You said recognize.
Yes, recognize. You
What?
must recognize everything, at least acknowledge it, one without the other. If you say love and don't know hate, if you say you got it and don't know what not to have it, you have to recognize both sides. And some people just do not understand neither side.
Okay, for sure. That is, these emotions are not specific stopping points. It really is a spectrum. So you cannot know love without knowing hate. You cannot know light without knowing dark. And what's more important is because those are just the extremes, but understanding that there are steps that you experience in between them and you allow yourself to experience all of those things because love doesn't always start as love. Sometimes it starts off as attraction, and even that it gets to love, and sometimes it shifts from love, but if it shifts from love to hate, it's also a process to give there. And I keep saying this, so when you go through this process of understanding the spectrum, the ends of the spectrum, that you also allow yourself to experience all the emotions that help you take you from both ends of the spectrum. Anyone else?
Gio,
Good.
Gio, can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Acceptance, I acceptance. Sometimes people but they can't accept you for who you are, and then some people don't even accept themselves.
Acceptance is huge. I think a lot of times um, we look for acceptance in things outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be seen, everybody wants to be heard. And the ironic thing about that is, if we were more accepting of ourselves and who we really are, then we'd be able to get more acceptance from other people, right? And an important thing about that
Yeah.
is being able to separate what's ours from what's them. Because people will love to put their
Mm-hmm.
expectations on us. And sometimes we will try to live up to those expectations. All the while, we're living out of alignment with how we were intended to be. So, acceptance is important. Accepting who you are, accepting the truth about yourself, accepting where you are, accepting where you're going. Acceptance is a huge one. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. This is Yvonne. My thought is uplifting, pretty much encouraging people through inspiration and giving them hope.
Encouragement, inspiration, and hope, right? Fantastic. The
Yes,
only
sir.
thing that I will tell you to adjust in that thinking is none of those words are for anyone else except you. You start with self.
Yes,
So
yes.
you make sure that you're encouraging to yourself. You make sure you're inspirational to yourself. You're uplifting to yourself. And then it makes it a little easier for other people to be able to give that to you as well. All of these words are start with self first. That is that self care, that self awareness that we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yes, it's all. Yes, it's all. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Gratefulness. Gratefulness, and here's one. You have to have an attitude of gratitude, and after you have that attitude of gratitude, it will automatically give you an altitude. You
All
have to
right.
be grateful for the good things. You have to be grateful for the bad things. You have to be grateful for the in between things. Uh, there's some negative people in this world. They say that they're grateful, but they don't show it. They don't show their gratefulness. I mean, I was kind to one person. I'm not sure if they took their kindness or if they accepted the kindness. I don't, and there are some people that I know that will, there's some people that will hold the door for people to walk inside, and then there's some people that will hold the door, then they let the door slam on their face. And there's some kind people in this world. There's some unkind people in this world.
For sure.
The people who are kind, they, I don't know, they take their kindness in vain, or they take their kindness to heart. So we have to, whether we're kind or whether we're unkind, we have to be grateful. We have to show gratefulness. We have to have an attitude of gratitude. If we don't have an attitude of gratitude, then we have a problem.
Definitely does.
If we want our altitude to happen, we have to have an attitude of gratitude. If there's no attitude of gratitude, there's no altitude. We have
Definitely.
to have an attitude of gratitude.
Definitely. Something I just kind of want to add to that as you were talking, it made me think about it. Um, Having that attitude for gratitude allows you to be present, right? So there is some thoughts or ideas or some research into anxiety, right? And why anxiety is felt so strong. So one of the reasons they say that anxiety is felt so strong is because you are not present, right? So anxiety comes from worrying about what has already happened, so too far in the past, or worrying about what will happen too far in the future. And either way, it takes you from your presence and being thankful for what you have. When I talked about that happiness paradox ties into being gratitude. To get more happiness, you be thankful for what you have. If you want more money, you be thankful for what you have. You want more abundance, you be thankful for what you have. It forces you to be present and be thankful for what you have instead of getting lost in what was lost or what might be yet to come. So gratitude is fantastic, a great word. Great addition.
This is Linda, and I think another word is patience. I've heard so many words, and just like you said with anxiety, that's something that we have to work at. And as we work on ourselves and we are patient with ourselves and want others to be patient with us, we have to learn and recognize that others have to reciprocate, and we be patient with our family and friends. So patience is the one that we all have to work on. That's the most important one to have patience and to work at it. It doesn't come overnight.
Yes, it does. All of these things, the
Take
relation.
practice.
It does. It does. Now, the only thing that I caution people when it comes to patience is do not pay for patience. I will tell anybody do not pay for patience, because if you pray for patience, you're asking for more situations to force you to be patient. All you have to do is just live life. Life will force you to be patient. So you do not have to ask for something that's going to naturally happen in your experience. You have to wait for bills to be due. You have to wait for food to be cooked. You have to wait for some conversation. You have to wait for doctor's appointment. You have to wait for a lot of things. So just living life. I also am been a teacher, and we call this thing is natural consequences. It's really a whole lot of research in the natural consequences. Patience is a natural consequence of life, so you do not have to pray for that, because you do not want more experiences to force you to be patient. You just have to trust that the opportunity will show itself. So patience is a huge one as well too.
Now, I have a question about that.
Yes.
Before you ask the question, well, patience is a spiritual gift, and that is something that we have to work on.
Yes, you do.
We all have patience, but we have to work at it.
With
We all
all
have it. We just have to work at it.
For sure. With all of these, we look at
And
them as
practice it. And practice.
For sure. We look at them as that's why I say you don't have to pray for it, because the opportunity will come. And we look at it as tools, like I said, or some people say swords, this idea of iron sharpen iron. So once you have these things, that does not mean that you will not have to practice these things. You have to practice forgiveness. You have to practice love. You have to practice awareness. All of these things, you still will have to practice them to keep those tools sharp, right? So, but you understand that's where that idea of faith and hope comes in. You have that mustard seed of faith that you know when the opportunity shows itself, that skill, like you said, we all naturally have. So that means the opportunity will come for us to practice that skill. When that opportunity comes, you know that you have patience. So when it shows itself, and when you feel yourself being impatient, that's the time where you remind yourself that I already have this in me. You know what I mean? It dwells within me. So I have it in me. But you will be challenged with these things to ensure that you are thankful and living in that space of gratitude for the gifts and tools that you do have, right? For sure.
Recognize, recognize. Yeah, I was gonna ask, even though you don't ask for patience, can't you thank God for letting you have patience?
Yes, you do. That is that I do the gratitude. You be thankful for the gifts you've already gotten, right? Because if you don't, that's what I'm. That's one of the reasons why I say don't pray for it. Because if you're praying for it, you're not acknowledging that God already gave it to you. You already have patience, so now it feels like, well, maybe I gotta give you some more experiences to get this patience. But you know, you be thankful for that. That's that gratitude idea. Those are the things that allow you to be present. You don't have to worry about will you have the patience when it comes, or even think about the times you didn't have patience. You just have to acknowledge that it exists in you, and when those opportunities come, you will show up to work. That patient will show up for you, for sure, for sure. But you definitely, I will always tell you, be thankful for what you got.
And recognize it too.
For sure. Now, that's the first thing. You have to be able to recognize it, and then you also have to be vulnerable enough to acknowledge it. So that's where that exercise helped us with the accountability of the things that we experience. We don't have to be responsible for everything. Just because we know it, many times when we become helpers or empaths, or we are the matriarch or the patriarch of our family or a leader in some organization, it's easy for us to take on responsibility. But many times there is no response that we can do to make it better. That's why that idea the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That good intentions come from feeling responsible for things that you should have just been accountable for. You wind up creating a hell for someone else, even though you had good intentions, because it was not yours to create in the first place. You just had to label it and allow them to figure out the response. So that's what this activity is about: separating the fear for responsibility, just sitting in the emotions and dealing with it, labeling it, and not feeling like we have to do something to change it. Fantastic.
Now, my name is Dorothy. I have a word of appreciation. But I wanted to get back what you said about the patience. It reminded me of like when you're in church and someone pray, you know, ask people to pray my strength in the Lord. And that can open you up to more experiences also.
For sure. That's that
Yeah.
idea where I
You
said
got to be careful.
that's why we talked about boundaries. And that's why I said people have the tendency to put on you things that are not for you. So you do have to be careful for how you allow people to pray for you and how you pray for people as
Right.
well, right? So don't you allow people to pray for you, speak positivity in your life, but you be mindful as what that positive is. So they may have those good intentions, but not unintentionally creating a hell for you, right? Good intentions
Yeah.
do not stop you from bad bad experiences, right? They can have the best intentions, but you are for sure right. People will pray for you based on what they think or what they feel they experience in their own life. So they think other people, they call it projection, but for sure that's why you have to be your own best guard as well. So you have to guard yourself from these other energies, other emotions, other feelings that people will give to you that aren't yours.
Right. And with the appreciation, you just appreciate, being grateful, being
For
thankful,
sure.
all this stuff within yourself. And, and I just thank the Lord for that.
For
I'm just thankful.
sure.
I thank Him for the bad situations as well as the good ones because He know what He's doing. Because whenever we face something that's hard, He's teaching us something. And that's when He can teach you the patience also without
Yep.
you asking for it. Because you'll come out on the stronger side with that.
For
That's
sure.
good. Okay.
I think you said something powerful, and that's being thankful for the good and the bad. It becomes a little bit difficult for us to be thankful for the bad. But as we talked about, you can't know love without knowing hate. So hate has a transformative property as well. And acknowledging that, being thankful for those experiences, because without the darkness, you wouldn't be able to recognize light.
The light,
So
right?
you need these experiences. They both are beneficial, and most of the time, really, these things are neutral. We as people judge and apply good and bad to them, but it is a neutral experience. You know what I mean? That we wind up applying that good or bad. But you are 100% correct. Being thankful for both. And I even though I sit here navigating this with you all, I am not perfect. I am human as well. And that is one of the things that I continue to work on, being thankful for both of the experiences because they let me know what goodness is.
thought that counts. Somebody went out their way to get the money for that present. Somebody went out above and beyond to get the resources for that present. So it's the thought that counts. It's not the size. It's not if I like it or I don't like it. It's the thought that counts.
And you know what's ironic about something you said? It is. And thought is the first step to action. And honestly, one of our gifts, we have a tendency to to normalize some of the gifts that we have. And I wound up I used to do book club on Thursday, and we wound up reading this book called The Alchemist, right? And in The Alchemist, he had this dream about he was supposed to get his riches at the pyramids. So he went to a lady who's supposed to be able to decipher dreams, right? And she told him pretty much what the dream told her. I mean, what he thought the dream meant. So at the end of that, he asked her, well, if you have the ability to decipher dreams, why aren't you rich? And she said something that was very powerful to him. She said, I have the ability to dream. I do not have the ability to bring those dreams to life. So when you say the thought that counts, that's it. Many people do not have, everybody thinks. Not everybody has the ability to change that energy from thought to energy of action to some sort of product or something that you can give, or in this case, a gift. So that's where this idea of the thought that counts, because the thought is the foundation to action. And if you are a person that can bring the things you think to life, then that is a blessing and a gift that you were giving. And that's another space to be grateful for. Thank you for the ability to be able to bring my thoughts to life.
Recognize, recognize.
For sure, for sure. All right, so anybody else has anything else? I want to be mindful of your time. I don't know how long your meeting goes on. I know I guess I wasn't supposed to be here for the whole meeting. Um,
We're enjoying this.
okay. So I want.
Reverend Ray,
And just
yeah,
for
Reverend Ray, I just want to thank you because I changed my drink. I stopped drinking sodas and all last week, and I got the pineapple juice, and it has made a difference, and I appreciate
It
one of the
does.
lessons we learned the other week.
That's ironic that you said that, brother, because I promise you, I'm in the same process of changing my diet. You know, as we get older, the good thing is that you recognize the need for change, that thought, and then you brought it to action. You brought that change to action. And many people struggle with that. They see it, they see the need for change, but they cannot bring those thoughts to action. So something as simple as that can make a huge difference in your life, right? Outside of that, I was dealing with high blood pressure, and I could have waited and got medication, or I could have listened to God tell me, you just got to change the way you eat. So I had to change the way I eat. So change is natural. Everything must change. You know what I mean? So nothing stays the same, and that includes us. So I think that is huge, 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 huge.
Yeah, yeah, because one of my statistics went down, and it came from when my doctor said, well, what were you doing different this in the last week or so? So one of them came down a little bit, and that was the only change, and I slowly, changed it, but that was the only big change, and just in that. I appreciate that.
Right. That's awesome, brother.
now to just for those who joined late, this is Anthony Howell by way of Lakeisha. And he did a meditation with us earlier. Was it the meditation when you label the emotions and walked us through the sound therapy and the breath work and the mindfulness activities?
Right.
Anthony, can you share? You mentioned a book. Can you share all the things that are available that you?
So right now I have one book available. I'm going to do and make it an audio book myself. Right now I have one book available. It is The Seven Spaces of Healing. It is pretty much a foundational book to help you decide, it helps you conceptualize what are 7 spaces that we need to cultivate within ourselves to help us evolve into the best authentic version of ourselves, and then also ensure that we are a part of these spaces. They are a space of healing, a space for forgiveness, a space for solitude, a space for trust, a space for risk without judgment, and one of the more important ones is a space for accountability. We have to be accountable. We have to be able to recognize. You notice none of those spaces are responsibility because we just need to be able to identify. Outside of that, um, I do a live show every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm on everything, every social media platform as Soul Swami, and then I also do one-on-one conversations. And I generally do not charge for any of like what I'm doing right here. Well, if it's a group thing, I generally charge for stuff like that. But for one on one, if you want to have like a little energetic reading, so what I do is to help you identify the energies that are that are in your life, whether they are yours. You'll be able to know if it's your energy or some other energy that's someone else. So I wind up helping you be able to figure out how to separate these energies and be your authentic self. Outside of that, and then if anyone is near me, I also do practice in the art of laying hands, right? So, as I stated, energy cannot necessarily be created or destroyed, but sometimes we need help moving that energy around. So, I generally help people move that energy around, and that is spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental energy as well. So, I generally work with people after they've had surgery or after they've had some emotional trauma as well. And all that is like I said earlier, I just create a space for people to be able to navigate and experience these emotions. So if at any point you'd ever like to have one of those things, all you have to do, I'm sure, but everyone has at least my one of my numbers. Or if you need to get in contact with me, you don't remember Soul Swami or anything like that, you can always contact Keisha, and she'll make sure she'll connect you to me.
So do you want to share one of your
Okay,
numbers? Because we don't have your
yeah,
number.
yeah, yeah. You have a phone number you can share.
Yes. Hold on. Let me think.
Is it a now this is a recorded line? Is it is there a website or is Soul Swami?
And also,
Yep, you find me at Soul Swami. So I do have all of those
around,
things.
Wait just a minute. Let him finish talking. Hold on. Let him finish first, please. Yeah, are you do you want to share a number? I mean, it's up to you if you don't
I
want to.
just thought about it. I did text the number. So I don't mind it being shared, but I just thought about it. I am live as well, so I don't want to say my number out loud because it might be some creep. I forgot that I'm not just talking to you all. I'm actually live as well. So if I yell my number out, but I did the number that I shared with the description, you can get it from the group. You can share it. You can reach out to me, and I will contact you. Outside of that, if you are on social media, just find Soul Swami, and then you can shoot me a
Spell
message.
that spell that out for us.
SoulSwami, Soul Swami, or Anthony Howell. My real name, I'm on Facebook as Anthony Howell, and everything else as Soul Swami. That is Facebook.
Anthony
You,
Howe.
yep, HOWELL.
Oh, I see us on YouTube live.
Yeah, you see? I told you. I'm on a little bit of everything. I'm on Instagram. As a matter of fact, as I'm streaming, when I say I'm on live now, it is Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and it's this one that's called Twitch.
Anybody else have any
Is
other
there any
questions?
place is there anywhere we can get your Instagram, your book?
Uh-huh.
Ask a question again.
Direct. Can you send that number? Can you send that
Yeah,
number
we
out
yeah
to
we
me
work out the number.
directly?
We will work out the number, please. We'll
Okay.
work out the
Yeah,
Yep.
number.
Thank you.
I sent his number in the email that I sent out to
Yes,
you.
we'll work out the number. We have
Yeah,
the
we just forwarded from there. But I just wanted to say thank you so much, Anthony, for coming through. I think we have all been greatly influenced and inspired by this evening session. I'd also like to say that the session Yes, thank you again, Anthony.
No, thank you for
I
inviting
want you
me.
to know that we would love to have you back anytime, that you have some time available. This was very very
Definitely welcome to the
a
family.
great space for
Welcome to
us
United
and your
Network.
work. So thank you.
So for sure, when y'all are getting to a topic that you want me to join in, on my show, literally, I started this about 3 years ago. So there are tons of videos on YouTube of every single show that I've done, even book club. But outside of that, I generally like right now we're having discussions around ego and making sure, because a lot of people talk about this idea of getting rid of the ego, but the ego is there to protect you. So we want to make sure that we're functioning within our ego healthy instead of getting rid of the ego. So we've talked about it as an identity thing and as a functional idea. We've talked about, like I said, I wrote a book on the 7 spaces of healing. We talked a little bit about identity. So if you start talking about things like identity, one of the things that I ran into is people struggle with letting go because their experience have become their whole identity, right? And we want to separate that as something that you've experienced and it doesn't define who you are. And many people struggle with that because if they let go, then they're afraid they won't know who they are. So identity, anything, whenever you get into the sport, anything that you think I'd be a great addition to, I would love to join the space again. Again, I thank you for allowing me into your space. I appreciate for you being vulnerable enough to go through this activity with me and share. And I love everything that you're doing here. Outside of that, again, like I said, if you ever want to get into space and y'all want to start trying to go for grants or anything like that to make it a little bit bigger, or if you like where it's at, outside of that, I can also assist with that. So I'm not just healing, but professional. I do grants and nonprofit. That is my entire life as well. So I don't mind supporting you with anything. I love what you're doing.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
One,
Have a good evening.
one
Thank you.
fun.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Located to you fully.
Well,
Recording stopped.
Thank you for having me, you all.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. We'll
Y'all
look you
have
up on YouTube again.
have a great evening, family.
Thank you. You too, Dorothy.
All right. Bye.
And to
Have a
all,
good night. That was wonderful.
Woo, Lord. Thank you, Lord. That was fun. Family, y'all got to join me as I did. That was one of my first group meditative practices. It was exciting. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. So family, Tuesday we'll continue with assessing our how we are functioning within the egos, and then next Thursday we'll get back to the mask. I thought that I had the mask here, but I had fun doing that, right? So again, I thank you for all your support. I thank you for being here, and I look forward to continue building with you as always, family. And with that, I say peace.